I know a lot about video games, just not since like.
No, Casey started playing after Pong.
I hate you.
Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
And that's why you can't use a ham sandwich as a form of birth control.
Yes.
That was so good. He got me on that one.
What even mine? It was our guest. Our guest came up with that one. It was great.
I was about to try that.
You are welcome, Casey.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, folks, welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, and you're welcome for that coming-of-age tale. I'm Spence.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Casey.
And, folks, today we have a very special guest. I'm going to pass this off to Casey to introduce him.
Yes, because this time the guest is actually a good friend of mine instead of Spencer's.
First time for everything.
It is. It's my good friend Jason Turner. Jason, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, guys. Yep. I think I'm almost proud to say that I think I may be one of Casey's only friends.
Yeah!
Shit.
Get wrecked, bitch.
I told you not to say that. I told you not to say that you were my only friend.
Let's not vilify him for his honesty.
No,
okay.
actually, I'm looking at the text. I completely forgot to put the not in there.
Well,
that was my fault.
Yeah, okay. It happens anyway. Yeah, man, Jason, introduce yourself to our audience, man. Tell us about yourself a little bit.
So I'm Jason. I've known Casey for several years now. I've also known Hunter for a few years as well. Spence, me and you just met 15 minutes ago. Nice to meet you. You sound like a cool dude. I used to live in Knoxville, so I'm very familiar with the area. So like all those inside jokes that you talk about in your previous podcasts, I usually can hang on to them for the most part. But I'm right now here in Birmingham, Alabama.
All right, man. That's cool. Man, I didn't realize that you had been long-term associates with both Casey and Hunter. You must be very patient. So,
I am.
I can tell. Casey, go.
And if you guys didn't know this, Jason, the biggest Roll Tide fan out there.
Oh, sweet.
Hold up now. Stop. Pump the brakes.
We'll edit
Let's
that
not
one out.
piss
Don't
anybody
worry
off
about it.
right now. I'm a diehard Tennessee fan. Don't let Casey fool you.
Oh, so you're a super Tennessee fan living in Alabama?
Yes, I am sitting here behind enemy lines. I wear orange as much as I can, and I get shit talked to me on the daily, but I take it in stride, and I'm happy.
Dude, these must be tough times for you, man, with just the way things have been going. I was going to say, you're an Alabama fan. You must be happy as shit.
No. It's really bad. I mean, I'm not even in Tuscaloosa. I'm only about an hour away. But still, I can't even step outside my door without at least 5 or 6 Alabama flags waving in the air.
God, man, I can imagine.
Are the rumors of tribal warfare after every game true? That's what I want to know.
No, it's not that bad. I mean, between Alabama and Auburn fans, sure, but not Tennessee.
As long as we're not part of it.
You got to be an actual threat to have tribal warfare after a game.
Well, dude, Auburn was sort of good for a minute. So there's that thing with like rival schools that are like close to each other. It's like a super crazy rivalry, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't talk about the Alabama and Auburn rivalry down here unless there's some strongly worded opinions. Like there's nobody that's in the middle. It's either you're all the way towards Alabama or you're all the way towards Auburn.
Dang. Well, I know up here, and since you lived here for a long time, you'll remember where I'm talking about. But out in and there's some like local high school football rivalries that are pretty big. But like out in Clinton, there are 2 high schools in Clinton. One is Anderson County. The other one is actually Clinton High. And they're separated on both sides of this river. And I didn't know this until recently, but somebody was telling me, like, man, there is such a rivalry between those two because they're in the same town. Every time they play each other, it's called the Battle of the Bridge.
Oh, wow.
Because there's a bridge between the two parts. And apparently it just divides the whole fucking city. Like, it's this insane thing. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I didn't realize there was a similar thing with Alabama and Auburn.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's always bad blood. There will never be any type of peace offering between those two schools.
Dang.
Okay, so Jason, you're a Tennessee fan first and foremost, but between Auburn and Alabama, which way do you go?
I would go towards Auburn.
Bam.
Okay.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just too much of a Tennessee fan to ever root for Alabama. I know, especially when it comes to bowl games, everybody talks about conference pride this, conference pride that. But no, I always root for Alabama to lose, no matter who they play.
Let me ask you this: being a like a life, like a card-carrying Tennessee fan, how does it feel knowing that our new coach was on the Alabama staff? Is that weird, or is that like, no, it's going to be great?
I'm indifferent. I did think it was weird at first, but I'm super excited to see what our new coach is going to bring to the table. And this is actually kind of like what's that game, like 6 Degrees of Separation, or like your bacon number or whatever.
Yeah, the Kevin Bacon.
So Jeremy Pruitt, Tennessee's new head coach, before he was the DC at Alabama, he used to coach at Hoover High School, which is ironically the high school I graduated from.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know what that bacon number equals out to, but it's really kind of crazy how our new coach also used to coach my high school as well. I thought that was really interesting.
Shit.
And I mean, looking at Kirby Smart, you have his first year, he did really well coming from Alabama to Georgia, and then his second year went to the national championship to play Alabama. So, I mean, even though they lost, it still speaks numbers to people who work for Bama and then go coach at other schools to do pretty well.
That's true, Casey. You know what? I don't mean to call you out like this, Casey, but I think you might be more of a bandwagoner Georgia fan.
You say that, but I've been a fan since I was little. So I mean, I might have been.
Yeah, I know, but
I think I hopped on the bandwagon and just kind of stayed on.
Yeah, but I remember our conversations from years ago when Kirby Smart first took over. You were like, "Yeah, I'm not really going to pay much attention to football this season, just because I don't." Yeah.
I didn't, and I don't.
That's textbook bandwagon. You got to support the team no matter what, man.
This is so awesome. I'm so glad we have you on.
Look,
Hunter, do you got something?
Okay.
Actually, football related. We'll leave it alone.
Okay. Our guest has something.
Yeah.
I had something that I wanted to bring up, and I was actually just reminded of this maybe an hour ago when Casey texted me. I think it's time for an intervention, Casey. Oh, and I don't even think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, so God.
Let me
I'm so Casey, ready for this.
You have and I think it's subconscious, and I would love to know whether you're actually purposely doing this or not. But you have an obsession with the kissy face emoji.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What in the world? Because you send that to me, and I'm assuming you do it to everybody, but you send that kissy face emoji at the end of every text, almost every text that you send to me.
Yeah, it's because I love you.
I think it's going a little overboard.
It's because I love you, and whoever I send it to, I love you.
You're so right. He totally sends it to me too, and I was like, oh, I guess that's kind of cute, but also maybe he wants to date me.
No, that kissy face, the winky with one little heart and a smooch, is the plutonic way of saying that I love you. That's the emoji that stands for I love you as a friend.
I don't know about that.
I don't either.
All hearts is actual love.
There's no way to masculinize this conversation.
There's really not.
Masculinize?
Do you want to make it masculine? Do you really care about that? Do you really feel weird with your sexuality that you can't talk about kissy face emojis?
Let's put it this way: I am well seated enough in my masculinity that I don't send kissy face like heart buggy eyes to other dudes.
Okay, that's sad though.
I'm plenty comfortable.
You should be able to do that.
Is Jason Christopher Robin? Is what I'm getting.
Actually, I would
trying to assume his bear identity.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, to be honest, I'm more of a cub. Bears have to be at least, I think, 6 foot or taller and way heavier than I do.
Why do you know so much about this?
And an otter
He's been working his way towards bearhood for a while.
Hey, I hang out at the Edge. It's a great little... They have the best drag shows, so...
The Edge is awesome.
No,
Shout out
the Edge is fucking cool. The people are great. Like, the guy that owns it is freaking amazing. Like,
yeah, that's secondary.
And while I was there, I got an education because I called myself... I was making a joke with my friends who I was there with and a couple of the drag queens, and I made a joke about me being a bear, and they're like, actually, this is the steps. You know, you're actually a cub because you're a little bit shorter and not as fat. A bear would be a little bit bigger and a little bit, heavier. And I was like, oh, okay. And it's just,
I had no idea.
Casey the cub.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm cuddly.
Casey's like, hey, you guys, I'm actually a bear. And they're like, no, you're a fuckface.
I'm officially changing your name out of my phone from Base Banana to Casey the Cub.
Okay,
you have lost your banana status.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I've not. And actually, I think just recently Jason discovered me as the Base Banana, and I explained the whole thing to him, and he was like, how Was because this was around the time that he was going to UT, and he's like, how did I never see this?
Those are strange times.
How did you not know about this?
Because I used to be pretty frequent visitor of, Valerium and all those clubs in Knoxville, and I don't ever remember seeing a giant banana on stage dancing around. So I don't know how I missed it, but I did. And when you first told me that story, I was absolutely floored because I know now you hate going to clubs.
Yes. I think I got it all out of my system in 2 years.
Closed that chapter of your life.
Yeah. I tried. I came back when I went to Florida. I came back and tried to do the bass banana thing, and I got on stage and went, ew. And I was just like, I felt gross, and I was like, I don't want to be up here. This feels
didn't feel right.
Yeah, it didn't feel right.
I get it.
Now, is it just because of the environment and like actually the actually putting on the suit and dancing around, or is it the music that they play?
I think it's I just got older, and like I went down to Florida to spend. I was like living with my brother at the time and a bunch of his airman buddies and things like that. And I think I was around a little bit, not the clubbing type, like people who didn't go to the clubs, they just went to the bar and had a good time. And so I got into this mentality of, man, clubs just aren't as fun anymore. Like I kind of grew out of it.
Well, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you now?
29.
Okay. I was older than you when we were going to the Valerium.
I'm well aware.
And it was... Thanks, you fucking numbnuts.
Dang.
You know what? That's fair. But my whole point is this, is like I had grown out of it like a couple of times by that point. I think it was just the time and the place. Like it was just this, I don't know, I mean, when you talk to people about it, like there were people that were like 18 and there were people that were like 30 and there were people that were like 36 like me or whatever. There was just something like, it was like all the planets aligned. Like this bunch of people just got together. It was almost like completely random. Mm-hmm. And it was united by just a couple of associations. Like I knew Darla. Darla became in charge of the whole thing. She hired all these like crazy people to work there. And like we all just got on, like we were thick as thieves. And everybody was just like really, there was like a party and we were interested in like seeing where it was going to go. And it was like that way for like a couple of years.
Me and Eric Johnson every Saturday would meet at Books A Million. Mm-hmm. When we'd all meet up there, and right before everybody would break and just get in their own cars and go to the Valerium. Usually I rode with somebody because I live so far away. Books A Million was my meeting point to catch a ride with somebody. And usually it was EJ, and we would go to Party City before we left and buy as many glow sticks as we could get our hands on.
Is that where those came from?
And then we'd take them to the place and just start handing them to people like our friends and be
That's brilliant.
I had no idea.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to EJ. EJ listens. He always comments like, dude, how are you doing? We miss you. You got to come to Knoxville, be on this podcast. What up?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
All right.
I remember EJ as well.
Oh, yes. Dude, he's a good guy. He's a super good guy.
Yeah, he loves the mom jokes, and I love it. I love it.
Not only, a lot of people don't realize too. In our opening and closing music, you're hearing the sultry benedictions of Eric Johnson playing bass. He played bass on our track, the song about the Loch Ness Monster.
Shout out EJ.
Hardcore.
Jason.
Yep.
Was EJ a member of D&D when you were playing with us?
He was. I actually remember his character's name was Cavendish McLaren or something.
Oh my God! No, yeah,
lines.
you're right.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Your brother the dog and flaming hand job were his two catchphrases. All
Incredible.
the time.
I don't remember much of that, but yeah, it sounds like an EJ thing.
It totally was.
I never thought D&D was that racy.
Only when EJ plays.
Okay, I get it.
Surprise rock. So that's another inside joke just for EJ. Guys, I've gathered you all here for a reason.
Have you voted?
I've voted. No. I actually gathered you all here because I think it's time to make the first announcement for our first other show other than the Beacon House podcast.
This is a big episode. There's a couple of big firsts. I want to say before you get into that, I want to give you a total platform for talking about that. But this is also another big first because this is the first time that our co-host is not actually here with us. We're actually doing this over Skype. So Jason, thank you so much for being like our first guy to come on and talk with us and join us on the show from a remote location, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to do it, even though I am, roughly 400 miles away. I actually listen to you guys' podcast every week, and I'm happy to be here.
Dude, that's an honor.
Yeah. And without any, or wait, what's that? Without
any further ado.
Without any further ado.
Jesus Christ.
That sounds so weird now that you said it.
Let's phrase it this way. Casey, you gathered us here together to...
I didn't gather us here. We all agreed to meet here at a certain time. And I texted Jason.
You have already changed what you said.
Yeah, you just backed out of what you originally said.
I didn't say... What are you guys talking about?
I hate you.
Can you actually rewind
the tape.
Edit.
Yeah.
This is... Casey, what the fuck do you want to talk about? Jesus Christ.
Oh, right. So I've gathered you all here today. No, actually, me and Jason have been working on a project together. Well, I say me and Jason. Honestly, I record my voice, and then Jason does all the work on his computer.
Yeah, after that intro, it's pretty clear to us who's doing all the work, okay?
Yeah, he's bringing the bacon home. But we actually wanted to, one of the things that Spencer and Hunter don't do a lot of is play video games or do know anything about video games. And so whenever we do this podcast, I always want to talk about a lot of video game related topics. And I don't think it's probably the best platform to bring it up with you two because you have nothing that you want to add because video games aren't your forte. Am I wrong there?
Well, okay, hang on a minute. You said we don't know anything about video. I know a lot about video games, just not since like.
No, Casey started playing after Pong.
Oh, I hate you.
Oh, that's an Xbox. Is that the one with the little dealies and the Pong?
He makes a one-time purchase and doesn't have to put quarters in the slot anymore to get it started.
You know what? I fucking stand by coin-op video games. But no, I played a lot of games up until like,
I'm sure Galaga and Miss Pac-Man was fun.
They still are fun.
Cutting edge, too.
I know, yeah.
They had color graphics.
You know what? I'm just backing out of this conversation. I don't know shit about video games.
Oh, shit. I knocked Spencer's cane over.
You know
Sorry,
what?
let me pick that up.
You know what? I'll say this. I will fucking take you any day of the week on Final Fantasy VII, the greatest game of all time.
That's not a multiplayer game. You can't take me on in that game.
Well, I mean, my guy...
Do you want to speed run it?
I hate him.
So anyways, me and Jason, I came up to Jason and I was like, for a while, me and him have always wanted to do a podcast together as well. And I was like, will you help me do this podcast? And he was like, yes. And so we sat down, came up with it. And basically what it is it's going to be YouTube series only. It's going to be probably once every 2 weeks, once a month, with the first month of June being a little different because of E3. And it's going to be a video game related podcast with video game footage going on in the background. So if you want something to watch, you don't just look at a blank screen.
Right.
You actually have something that'll keep your attention. But then also you just listen to me and Jay shoot the shit about video games.
And that's huge. That is becoming so fucking big these days, where people like watching other people play games. And I'm going to go ahead and ask all the stupid questions because the people, I know people listening to this are going to go, wait, what are they talking about? So when they're watching the video, which one of you guys is actually playing? Are you guys playing the game together?
I'll let Jason take that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's actually kind of a combination of both. I would it's definitely a podcast, but I would also kind of call it what's known as a let's play as well, where we're actually recording ourselves playing the games. Some of the episodes or some of the footage will be the both of us playing at the same time, with kind of like jump cuts between the actions, so you're not bored with all the boring stuff. And then some of it will just be from one point of view only, which is a little bit more intimate. You can kind of really get engrossed into the footage while also listening to what we're talking about as well. So yeah, to answer your question, it's a little bit of both, more podcasty, more let's play, with different footage from any game that we can get our hands on.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned something at the beginning of talking about the launch of this second venture. For the Spencer McCoys out there, what is E3?
Okay, so E3 is the oh, poor Spencer.
I'm not even gonna. You know what? I want to say something. Jason's explanation was so good that the two of you can fuck right off.
Okay. Well, I guess me and Hunter can leave. It's just going to be the Spencer and Jason show. No, E3 is the Electronic Entertainment Expo.
No shit.
Yeah.
I know that.
Because Casey told you last
You're talking about me like I'm Methuselah from the Bible.
I didn't. Hunter's the one that made the shitty old man joke.
Methuselah knew that. I didn't make an old man joke. He admitted that he doesn't play video games much. You just made an old man comment.
And to be clear,
Methuselah was at the very first E3.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Those are weird times outside the Roman Cathedral. Anyway, we won't talk about it.
So the Electronic Entertainment Expo, E3 for short, starts roughly around June 9th, where all the big game developers hold conferences where they show off their new
Right.
like games that are coming out, or maybe new software from like Sony.
And there's a
Microsoft.
similar thing in the music industry called NAMM, the National Association of Music Merchants, and they have one in the winter in Anaheim, and they have one in the summer in Nashville, and everybody comes to show off all their new equipment and stuff like that.
Right. So when me and Jason first recorded this podcast, the first episode we recorded, I made the mistake of calling it the first episode so we couldn't just back catalog it. And then I made the same mistake on the second episode and then realized, oh shit, we're going to launch this without covering any E3 at all.
Jason, now you see what we have to put up with.
Oh God.
Yeah, he does it. And he did it more than just for the first episode. I think he dated the first 3 episodes.
Yeah,
No, just the first two. Just the first two. And then you pointed that out and I was like, ah, shit, sorry.
Yeah, if you could harness the professionalism and the brain power of Casey, you could nearly toast bread.
Look, man, I told you I was sorry I ran over your walker in the parking lot. You don't have to keep taking it out on me.
All right, okay.
But anyways, so I came up to Jason and I was like, hey man, I think we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. And he was like, ours? And I was like, you're right. I shot ourselves in the foot. And we didn't do any E3 coverage. And so we came up with the idea that the first 2 episodes that you guys are going to hear of Party Chat are going to come 1 week from each other, one on June 8th and one on June 15th. The first one being a pre-E3 where we make kind of predictions and things like that. And then 15th will be post E3 where we talk about everything that was talked about at E3 and kind of shoot the shit on those kind of, those subjects. And then the very actual first episode of Party Chat will air at near the end of the month.
That's pretty cool. Jason, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm real excited for everybody to see it. And I think you just mentioned the title. We've been kind of hovering around it. The name of the podcast is going to be called Party Chat. Super excited for you guys to see it. This is something that I think is kind of like I mentioned earlier, a conglomeration of 2 different like genres or areas of gaming that we're kind of trying to mold into one. And so we're super excited to get it out there for you guys to see.
Jason,
Yep.
we've seen a sneak peek of Party Chat just a little bit, and it looks awesome. Was that you that did the video stuff for that?
You mean like the little opening 20-second montage? Yeah, that's all me. Some of as far as what's being like the recorded gameplay, that's both me and Casey, and then I edited it all together to perform that little mini intro. And actually, for all of the episodes so far, I've done all the video and audio editing for them.
Wait, is the intro different for each episode, or is that the intro?
It's the same. It's the same intro cool. That or at least what we planned to happen is for us to have the same intro for each episode, just for that consistency.
Right. Well, I just wanted to give you a shout out then. I mean, it's not the most earth-shattering like Hollywood thing ever, but it is really well put together. The graphics are good. The cutting between music and visuals is really nice. I thought it looked awesome. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a question too. You said you were going to hopefully be kind of blending 2 different genres of gaming. Can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah. So I think I may have touched on it a little bit earlier. It's basically our goal. I think when Casey first pitched the idea to me was to basically make a podcast, but to add the element of watching people play games as well, which, if you're into the gaming community, those like watching other people play games, especially on YouTube, those types of videos are generally called Let's Plays. And so basically what we wanted to set out to do was to combine the Let's Play, which is watching people play games and enjoying themselves playing games, combine that with the podcast element of it, where we just sit down and talk about a few topics that are relevant to video games, and then kind of combine those 2 together.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, great. I feel like some people that are listening to this are going to want to, that'll be a very, very handy explanation for them to kind of move forward on this.
And can I just say that, Jason, you're absolutely crushing this, explaining it, because I'm just like, and this and that, and then you're like, well, actually, Casey, just to correct you there,
That's
it's going to be this and that. It's actually going to be a little bit of this, and Casey's terrible at talking, so I apologize for him, but just leave him on the side. That's fine. Give him something to play with. It'll be okay.
Yeah, it's nice to be speaking with somebody so eloquent instead of this numbnuts that we're in here with every week.
I walked into that one.
Having shit on Casey so much just now, can we please say in all sincerity that no class is complete without its clown? clown. Like, you are serving a purpose.
You didn't not shit on him when you said that.
Yeah. Like, hey, can we take a minute to
the most passive aggressive comment I think I've heard about Casey right now.
and for some reason, I had no idea me and Hunter dated and broke up. Because you sound like a jilted ex-girlfriend right there.
I wasn't comfortable saying it unless we were on the air.
Oh, you guys.
Libby's going to be really mad at you.
I miss you guys the way you were.
Oh, okay. Guys, so, yeah, you can find Party Chat episode pre-E3 will be on June 8th, and it's going to be launched probably right after the Beacon House launches that Wednesday night. That Thursday, we'll go on and drop that there.
Which may be this episode, right?
Yeah, well, hopefully, because
so
that's this Wednesday.
Right after you're hearing this, you better fucking go tune in and view the first episode of Party Chat. Casey, tell them where they need to go to find it.
Just go to YouTube. It's the only place we haven't found a way to actually put it on Libsyn and stuff. And with all the gameplay footage, it wouldn't make sense to do that anyways. So it's just going to be on YouTube, on our channel at the Beacon House podcast channel. And you can slide over to playlists, and you should be able to see Beacon House podcast and then Party Chat. And it's going to be in their own little folders right there. And do us a favor, comment. Also hit that little bell on the page so that way you get notified anytime we launch any new episodes of Beacon House or Party Chat.
Yeah, that's it. And for everybody that listens to us, we're starting to realize we're absorbed by people on a lot of different platforms like Spotify, like iTunes, like all that kind of stuff. But the one that we always promote, the one we share on Facebook, the one we do a screen capture of on Instagram is always the YouTube page usually. I take it back. Instagram might actually be the iTunes one, but we're always going to share the YouTube page. That's the first one that launches, and usually there's one up on the Twitter feed. So that's your source to go to check out Party Chat. So do me a favor. If whether you're into it or not, whether you've been checking out games, you will be entertained by these guys. I promise you. So go to listen to podcast, click over, check out Party Chat. This is a big one. We're really doing a push on this. We're counting on you guys.
Absolutely. And I think one other thing I want to add is we want to get feedback from you guys as well. So if you listen to an episode, leave comments about what you thought of it, and also things that you would want us to talk about in future episodes, because we know that the gaming community is large and there's always new things happening, and we want to make it as relevant and current as possible. So we'd love to hear your feedback as well. Beautiful.
And that goes also for us here at Beacon House podcast. We're always looking for suggestions. We're always looking to improve. Obviously, we're in the whoever you are listening to this, we are in your service. So please let us know. Same way with the guys over at Party Chat. It's going to be a big thing. It's going to be really good. Dude, let's get into some video game. Can you mind if we bounce some video game questions off you guys?
Go for it.
Sure.
Okay, you guys are the experts. So we'll say, if people get into the channel, if they start requesting to see you guys work your way through a particular game, well, are you guys going to be doing requests?
I think that'd be a fine idea. The problem is that we're working on a budget, so it's got to be something that we have in our possession as a video game. And honestly, between me and Jason, we have a good collection of the popular ones that are already out there. And there's another thing of people wanting to watch us play through a game instead of listening to us do the Party Chat thing. Please, go to our Twitch page. That's something that we haven't been really frequent on, but hopefully now with me and Jason doing the Party Chat and get people involved, we'll start to do maybe some horror games in October and run through games.
Love it.
I've still yet to play all the way through Outlast 2. So I would love to have me and Jason on Twitch streaming playing Outlast or maybe Alien or
or maybe we even do one here in the room.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got a huge TV over here. We'll get an internet connection going, and maybe Hunter and I are sitting in while you're playing it, and maybe he's also playing it. We could do a big thing.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Jason, what do you think?
To see. Yeah, I would love to do something like that, and especially with with the audience feedback, we can kind of tailor that to everyone's interests. So yeah, that's definitely something that we have discussed and are well aware of wanting to get into.
That's awesome. Let me. Okay, I'm going to throw some video game questions at you guys. You thought I didn't? Okay.
Did you prepare for this?
Not really, but I've talked to a lot of people, so you know how I am. Right now, most popular game, Call of Duty or Fortnite?
Fortnite by far.
Hands down.
Call of Duty is
outstayed its
outwatered. It's watered down real bad.
So it's sort of a time that, like, it's the passing of the guard.
No.
Yeah, Call of Duty is suffering from the. I don't know if suffering is the right term, but they churn out a game every year, and they're starting to get stale. Fortnite's brand new. It's easy to pick up. It's super fun to play. And they got a huge bump in popularity when the rapper Drake was streaming it on Twitch a few months back, and I think it's ever since then it's really skyrocketed, and I don't see anything taking its place for a while.
Wow, that must have been insane.
500,000 views. Like 500,000 people were watching at the same time.
Holy crap.
Well, not that the realistic graphics and stuff don't have their place at all, but would you argue that's part of Fortnite's attractiveness? Maybe, 'cause I haven't played it yet, but it's really cleanly defined from a graphic standpoint. I don't even mean like pixels, but just like the actual artistry of how it's designed. Everything's crystal clear, and everything is brightly colored and very clearly defined between shadow and light. And I love the Call of Duty games, but I stopped playing when it got to the point where I couldn't distinguish between who I was firing at in the background, which is realistic, but then it's not fun.
Well, it's also, it became very Twitch and like speed running.
Yeah.
And so instead of people taking their time and like doing counterattacks and ambushes and things like that and like taking the time to do their attack, they just run around and shoot. They don't even like really aim down the sights. They just kind of shoot at the hip, kill whoever they can kill. And it's very fast paced. The most recent one, Call of Duty World War II, I still play it. I find it enjoyable, but I only play the war aspect of it, which is a very objective based kind of thing. It kind of reminds me of a little bit faster pace of Battlefield, which I also love to play as well.
I was a story mode guy all the way. I beyond like the actual in the same house level of interaction, I did not. And I mean, with Skype and stuff, like we have Jason now, I can see it now, but I didn't understand the appeal of multiplayer the way that blew up.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Fortnite is becoming so big that it's basically created a genre of its own that other games are starting to copy. Since you're talking about Call of Duty, they just recently announced, and I'm pretty sure me and Casey will talk about this in an upcoming episode of Party Chat, but the newest Call of Duty that was just announced I think it was last week or so, they announced a game type that is a spitting image of Fortnite. So like you can see the effect of the Fortnite bonanza is slowly trickling into other games because they want a piece of that pie because it is the new hotness.
And to be fair, I don't want to, I know a lot of people are going to listen to this who do play video games and they're going to be like, well, to be fair, first was H1Z1 on Steam. They did the first Battle Royale. And then a developer left that company and started Bluehole, or went and joined Bluehole and made PlayerUnknown's Battleground. And that's the first Battle Royale, 100-person, one big map kind of game type that came to be. It was very popular on a computer. And then Epic Games went, that sounds great. Let's do it on Fortnite, which was a tower defense game at first. And then they made a multiplayer Battle Royale version.
I did not know
and, that. So PlayerUnknown's Battleground got really upset by that and made a big stink and was like, this is our IP. You're clearly copying us. And Epic had the greatest response of, well, you use Unreal Engine 4, right? And they're like, yeah. And it was like, great, that's Epic's engine. So anything that engine is used in is a property of Epic. So we can actually use it to make Fortnite. So enjoy. And I think he's trying to sue them again. I'm not 100% sure on
that. The PUBG guys trying to sue
again?
PUBG guys trying to sue Epic again.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. So what's another question you want to ask us?
Okay. Let me look here. Best horror game of all time.
Oh, man.
That's Casey's wheelhouse right there.
Yeah, Silent Hill 2,
I've heard.
hands down, would probably be the best horror game.
Fucking my man.
It's the one that will put you under the bed and it's so weird, it's so bizarre. It was
so good.
Perfect PlayStation 2 horror game. Out right now, either Alien Isolation is a fantastic survival horror, although it turns very actiony near the end.
Yeah.
And then Outlast series. The Outlast series gives you a night vision camera, and that's it. You don't have a weapon to fight. So when you see someone coming at you, you got to run and hide. And if you don't hide well enough, they'll open up the locker door that you just jumped into, pull you out, and kill you. And then you got to start over.
Let me ask you a question. What do you guys think about? There are some sort of kind of off-base horror games that I don't even know if they were ever released on like on disc. I think you had to just download them from Steam. but there were some really, really cool ones. And I actually opened a Steam account just to play them. And there was one called Fran Bow, and the artwork was real. It looked like real 2-dimensional, almost like it was like cut out of construction paper or something. And it was real dark and real creepy, but kind of charming. And I guess these are sort of indie games. And then there was another one called Among the Sleep, which was a Kickstarter thing about you play as a baby.
Yep.
That's like crawling around the house at night, falling asleep, but also going into these other dimensions, and it's like real twisted. There's a bunch of cool,
creepy as shit.
Oh, dude, it's really good. It's good. It's cool to like watch walkthroughs and stuff of. Like, it's real weird.
And what's interesting, if you play Among the Sleep from start to finish, you'll see a lot of things that kind of factor in to the mind of a child, like how they kind of see domestic violence, or they see alcoholism in their parents, or see problems like that in their parents, and they show up as monsters. Like, their parents are loving, and then they ingest this poison of some sort, and then all of a sudden they become a monster and start chasing you down. So it's very well done, and it's very interesting because those different dimensions, quote unquote, are almost like dream states of them dreaming about parents being loving and caring, and then also being not so great.
Yeah, so the game has some real serious themes in it. Like domestic violence and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's really far out. And there's a bunch of other ones too. There was you'd have to Google them, but there's some that look like they're all drawn in like black and red felt tip pen, like the whole game is, and they're all like real psychological and weird. Like there's one called The Disappearance of Ethan Carter.
Great game. Beautiful.
Absolutely. It's like a mystery game, that kind of stuff. So, like, I actually found a bunch of cool games on Steam. There was one game called, have you guys heard of a game called We Happy Few?
Yes.
Do you know about that one?
I believe it's out on Xbox now. It might still be in game preview on Xbox. It came on the PC, did really well, and then Microsoft picked it up and put it at game preview on theirs. I think it's come to full release, though, and it's insane.
It's set in the 60s, and, like, everybody has to take medicine to stay normal. And then, like, I think your character stops taking it, and then there's like this. I think it's kind of inspired by the movie A Clockwork Orange.
I think it's also kind of what is it? John Carpenter had he had the wrestler in it. He put on the glasses and would see like
Them. Not them.
Roddy Piper. It was called Them.
Was it called Them?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's very much on that aspect because the person stops taking the medicine, starts seeing the world for what it really is.
So, sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
No, I had a question for Casey. Since you love like everything horror so much, do you prefer horror video games or horror movies?
Ooh, that's good.
That is a good question.
I honestly like them equally. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but I enjoy
going... If you
going...
had to choose.
If I had to choose, horror movies, because sometimes I don't like putting in the effort of playing the game to get the scares.
All right.
Okay.
I do Let's Plays for horror games mostly for that reason. I do want to play them. You know how much I love horror stuff, but once it becomes a game and it's not a film or a book or something, there's a level of disconnection no matter how good it is that you have that is your safety net. And as soon as you become the person that's actually there and what's happening in the story is based on your actions, it'll fuck with me way too much. I found the first Silent Hill game last year on PlayStation. I was like, PS3 plays PlayStation 1 games, so I popped it in. I've never played any of them. And, I know.
Oh, dude.
I know. I love the lore, so I was like, I'm going to do this. And I got to the creepy fucker in the fog, like right at the beginning. And I was
Pyramid
like...
Head? Or the burnt baby thing?
I think it was the burnt baby thing.
Okay.
But whatever the very first thing is that you encounter,
early
and
in
I
the
was
game.
like, literally the first creature, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. Ejected.
You didn't even get to Pyramid Head?
No.
Dude, Pyramid Head is so fucking cool. It's like my favorite like video game
No, he
villain.
is. He is. I love all that stuff, but I just don't have the balls to do it.
There's a lot of
to myself.
weird mythology, like in Silent Hill 3 with the pyramid. There's like more than one Pyramid Head, and they like commit suicide, and it's weird. And there's some backstory. Like that was actually, I think there's some like historical context behind Pyramid Head. Like, dude, it's nuts.
Well, Libby loves that stuff, so I might have to nut up and do it now.
And the thing is like,
Man
honestly,
up,
in my
G-Unit.
opinion, when it comes to video game to movie adaptations, it's very hard to get it right. And a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but Silent Hill movies are actually very well done.
Yes, they are. First one specifically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of people shit on, like, is it the second one? There's one that everybody shits on. And, like,
It's the second one.
Dude, they're not bad. Like, they're pretty fucking creepy.
They're crazy.
The first one's good.
Yeah.
Genuinely good.
It is genuinely good.
All right, so you have any more questions?
I had one for you and Jason.
Okay.
As far as, like, just a potential
I think we've been
party chat
talking
thing.
too much as us three, so this one I'm just going to let Jason answer.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Have you heard
All right.
of Darkest Dungeon? And if you have, would you guys consider doing that?
No, I actually have not heard of Darkest Dungeon, so you'd have to explain it to me.
I actually saw a gameplay of it. My roommate was watching it, and I was like, what is this? And it's like a 2D, but it's almost like a Binding of Isaac 2D. It's very weird and kind of bizarre is the best way to put it, because
Yeah.
it's kind of gory, but kind of not. But it's a turn-based where you go through this dungeon and you fight grotesque monsters. I don't think it's co-op, though, but...
No, I don't think it is, but I just think if you guys looked into it, the idea of watching video of you guys playing that and suffering through it and like the commentary you would give seems like it'd be gold to me. The point of that
so you
game
say-
is to lose. It's not easy on purpose.
Yeah,
So it's one of those like Dark Souls games where it's like you are going to die, and that's actually part of the game.
Yeah, it's like it's not the art style, but it's like if Family Guy had done Dark Souls. Like it's really cartoony, but it's exactly like that.
I have Dark Souls 3. I can reload that back down on my PlayStation and just make everybody laugh about how terrible I am at that game.
Isn't everybody
Yeah,
terrible at that game though?
It takes a certain type of person to play those like masochistic style games where you just pound and punish yourself over and over and over. I'm sure the reward at the end of actually beating a game like that is great, but I don't know if I'd have the patience for something like that.
The first boss in the game is easy to learn his pattern. It's a little wonky, but it's pretty easy to learn. It still took me 7 tries to finally kill him, and when I did, I had to quit playing for a day because I was like, nope, I'm not going to get rid of this good feeling with shitting on myself.
Wow.
Darkest Dungeon is one of the few games I play, and that's what happens. I'll complete one dungeon after like the 4th try and just stop for 2 weeks. I can't
Jesus.
do anymore.
It's pretty rough.
Fuck, that's pretty... Okay, okay, let me throw a curveball at you guys. What about... And I want Jason to answer first, and then Casey. What about, like, best classic game? Like, something that's kind of in my wheelhouse.
Oh, okay. So when you say classic, like how old are you?
Let's say pre MMO, pre multi online, like when it was like console gaming.
No later than
console
Contra.
game? I don't know how far back I could go because the very first console.
Like you could go all the way back to like fucking Atari #1 or Intellivision or ColecoVision or whatever.
Okay.
But also
The best-
PlayStation, whatever.
The best one. I don't know about the best one, but here's one that I know that I played the hell out of. And this was with me and my brother. We had we had all the Nintendos growing up. I can't even remember the actual name of it. Actually, I think I do. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, where it's I think it was Turtles in Time. Me and my brother played the hell out of that game.
Phenomenal.
And I don't know if I wouldn't really say that it's the best one ever, but that was one that me and my brother spent countless hours in. It's one of the ones that I can vividly remember, playing when I was a kid.
Awesome. That's a good one. Casey?
I'd have to say the Metroid series. Any one of them is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then kind of old, but kind of still new-ish would be The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. It was the first one they did the cell shading kind of artwork on, and it was by far my favorite of all the Zelda games. I know Breath of the Wild is apparently phenomenal, but I'm not going to buy a Switch right now, and I haven't played it.
Is that GameCube?
Oh.
That one?
That was GameCube.
I want to change my answer. I just thought of another one, and I'm not. I'm ashamed that I didn't think about this one first. GoldenEye on the N64.
Oh my God.
That's a good one.
That game I
That's a
think
good one.
changed everything as far as first person shooters from then on. It was night and day. I can remember, I think that was elementary school or middle school. Like that's all me and my friends did. We'd all huddle up at somebody's house and then just play that 4-player split screen.
Yep.
And we would play that for hours and hours and hours. I think that's probably up there as one of the best classical games, not just because of how good it was, but also how pretty much every shooter from then till now, has it kind of evolved from that game?
Absolutely. I was terrible at GoldenEye, and I never did well on it. But one of the things that came right after it that also had that 4-way split screen was the original Halo game. And I would do the same thing. I would huddle up with a bunch of friends, and we would play 4-way split screen Halo, and it was so much fun.
I think I ruined a lot of friendships playing GoldenEye. And you just constantly call your friend out for screen cheating, whether they were or not. You're like, there's no way you knew I was behind that door.
Because they're looking at your little quadrant. Yeah.
For me and my friends, it was always the race to whoever could play as Oddjob, just because he was so short and he was like so hard to hit. I think we eventually just ruled out nobody could ever play Oddjob because it's basically like cheating.
Yeah, or everybody has to play Jaws because he's real big.
Yeah.
What about Hunter? Did you say one?
For what?
Like favorite classic game?
I would honestly say the Doom series.
Oh
wow!
out.
Actually, yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah,
I remember having. I guess it was Generation 1 or whatever. It was like on a burn disc because you had to like download it before it was available just for PC to buy. And I must have been like 5 or 6, but I saw my brothers playing it, and all I knew was. I'd already been inundated with Aliens and Predator and stuff, so I go, monsters and guns equals I want to play it. So I would beg to do it, and the answer was almost always no.
Oh, how loving.
Yeah. Well, it's not them. I was like borderline and toddler, and Mom was like, I don't know how you got away with seeing these movies, but you are not going to run around and shoot shit.
And that actually brings me up to something I wanted to bring up while we were talking about video games, which is a very discussed topic, and I kind of want to know from outside your perspective, the guys, people that don't play video games as much and aren't as in love with them as I am.
It's total bullshit.
Do you think video games lead to violent people?
Nope.
Absolutely not. I don't think video games lead to acts of violence any more than listening to heavy metal leads to acts of suicide. I think that this is going to be one of those where I get on like a soapbox.
Go for it.
Go for it.
No, I'm not going to do it. But look. I think when you have any type of deviant behavior in society, that it's a matter of mental health and it's a matter of conditioning. I don't think it's necessarily a matter of the output of that society. Like I know a lot of people that play violent video games, and it's fantasy, it's fiction. It's just like somebody that reads a book and then they understand they're reading fiction. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like saying Harry Potter is bad for kids because they're going to think that they can fly and do all these things. And like at some point you have to understand the line between reality and entertainment. And I think that's true in music. I think it's true in video games. Way before like video games were allowed to be violent, or anybody even thought about making a violent video game, like a lot of great musical artists were getting a lot of shit in the Ozzy Osbourne, and they were saying, oh, they made these kids commit suicide, and they do all that, and it was the devil's music, and there was this big thing, believe it or not. There was a big fucking lawsuit in the 80s, the PMRC and all this stuff about like, and it's the same thing. It happened later with video games because video games got hyper fucking violent. The one that they particularly picked on was like Vice City or whatever, like
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto, because it was super like adult, and people started doing stupid shit, but they were already doing stupid shit.
Yeah,
I just don't think you can look at the art or the creative impulse of a generation and blame that on deviant behavior. I don't think that's fair.
Well, I think right now too, a lot of games like I know Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was the first one to do it, where that game was very based on Modern Warfare, and in that. When you first load up the game, it tells you there's a violent level in this game that is very uncomfortable and very unnerving, but it is in the game. It's part of the story. If you want to opt out, you can. And what it was you were undercover as someone on a terrorist organization, and you ride up the elevator and you don't really know what's going on, and then the doors open and all your guys have guns, and you're in an airport. And you just shoot the airport up, and the whole purpose of the level is slow moving on rails as everyone moves forward, and you can either shoot or not shoot, but you just sit there and you can kill innocent people, which a lot of people thought was not okay. And I went on and played it. I was like, no, I was younger. I was like, I can handle it, and I did that. And yeah, it made me uncomfortable. It made me go, okay, yeah, I know I'm not an insane person when I can do this and have feelings about just numbers, zeros and ones.
Yeah,
Jason, what do you think about all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree in it. I think the whole conversation as far as whether video games incite violence it's kind of what you were alluding to, Spencer. It's the same thing with the conversation about whether music incites violence. Case in point, I remember back in the 90s when Eminem was coming up, everybody was like, oh my gosh, he's so all of his lyrics are so just like, chauvinistic, violent, homophobic, all that kind of stuff. And they're like, is this influencing our kids and things like that? And I feel like it's the same way towards video games, where it's just, people want to point the finger at one specific thing just because it's bad. But I don't think that's the case. I personally believe it is more of like an influential thing, peer pressure, parenting, things like that. But it's just another media outlet. There's been violence in video games. There's been violence in music. There's been violence in TVs. There's been violence in movies, and they don't really ever catch the scapegoat like video games do. So yeah, I don't really think there's a correlation between the two.
And I also feel it's kind of weird that video games has been under the radar as creating violent people for way longer than music and movie ever had it, unless I'm just wrong on this point. But it seems like from the early 90s, like 1996, till, now it's been almost 30 years, and people still, like, a school shooting will happen, and you'll see some governor be like, it's video games' fault.
Well, it's because they're interactive by their nature, so it's easier to blame. Yeah. But ultimately, this stuff goes down to what Jason said, what Spencer said, conditioning, even more than mental health. Mental health is a big part of it, so not to downplay that, but the conditioning behind how you approach that subject matter and everything else. Before, in one way or another, it was either movies. Oh, no, it was comic books. Comic books was actually blamed for delinquent behavior, too, which is a whole other thing. We won't get into it now, but that was in the 50s, which, looking back, is probably why some of my teachers that were really old when I was growing up hated me reading them. But that was just some guy that found the scapegoat that was needed, which then, at some point became marijuana. Then it went to music. Then it went to, they need a bad guy, because if you can blame it on something that's easy to find and quick, you can settle it, and then you don't have to do the uncomfortable investigating and work that goes into solving the actual problem.
And it's also one of those things where Batman comics went from being very dark at the beginning to being very wacky and funny, where Batman and the Joker would do a surfing competition. And that happened for like 10 years, where they just wrote comics about the Batman and Joker pie eating competition or something. It'd be goofy and funny because of people saying that it created violent people.
That's exactly right.
And they almost ruined comic books because it lost everything. Like, it wasn't entertaining to listen and watch anymore when it became this goofy, family-friendly thing.
Absolutely. And I think at some point you've got to be realistic, and you have to observe like the law. For instance, it's illegal to harm somebody. It's not illegal to play a video game.
Yeah. And
there's got to be like a definition of reality at some point, and it shouldn't be. I don't think a person should be vilified for playing a game about war, because war is a real thing, and it depicts an actual thing. Even if it wasn't, even if it's fantasy. Again, you know what I'm saying? There shouldn't be a crime to sing about something.
Well, again, it goes to the need for a scapegoat to honestly evade your own responsibility in something to begin with. Deadpool, just real quick aside, the first one is a perfect example, because that came out and tons of children were taken to that movie, and then parents left in a rage. And that was a big part of it. And it was because apparently they go, oh, well, there's Colossus, he's an X-Men, and Deadpool is a superhero. Totally understand how you would think it's safe, but the fucking previews and the posters all have a big fat R, just sitting there, and it just got brushed over, especially with video games, too. Yeah. The rating is slapped on the front.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you mentioned that, Hunter. I was about to bring that up as well, is like the whole rating system. Like, I feel like that is glossed over in pretty much every genre of media, whereas like the movies get that R rating, nobody really cares. You see an album at the store that's got that explicit content label on it, nobody really cares. You see a video game that's got the mature audiences only rating on it, nobody really cares. So they're at this point, they're just kind of arbitrary. They're just there because they say they have to be there. But I feel like, it's more of a formality at this point, where it's the responsibility more lies in the consumer itself. We need to, they have to be educated. They have to educate themselves about what media they're consuming and what it's about. Do their own research and know what they're getting into before getting into it, and not relying on anyone else to educate them.
100%. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That's completely accurate.
Guys, do you have anything else? Jason, do you have anything you want to ask us?
No, I don't think so.
All right. I think it's
Don't bother asking how we put up with Casey's shit because we don't even know.
Oh, he knows.
Oh,
it's
trust
fine.
me. I mean, I put up with Casey's shit on a pretty much daily basis as well.
At least I didn't eat anything while we were recording this.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
Is that what that?
I make a mistake of when me and Jason are playing video games. I have
Noisy snacks.
I have like candy.
He's got Doritos. He's got ice. He's got like everything.
and I always forget to mute my mic. And so I'll just start eating between matches or something. And Jason's like, "Hey, that sounds like it's really tasty. Can you mute your fucking mic?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry." I'm just like,
Switch to like fucking.
I love it. I love
soft
it.
things like fucking cheese and meats or like Sour Patch Kids or something that won't crunch.
I'm really surprised that I haven't tuned into your podcast one day where Spencer's giving in the intro like, "Hey guys, welcome to the Beacon House," and in the background I'm just hearing.
Well, you know what? Time's going to tell on that one.
yeah. Now I might do it as a funny beginning and just be like, "Oh, we're recording." Mwah, mwah, mwah.
All right, so listen, remind them one more time about Party Chat.
Well, I actually just looked up the calendar because I was concerned that I may have gotten something wrong, and I did.
Jesus.
What a shock. So this episode that you're listening to now is going to be on Wednesday into Thursday, the 6th into the 7th of June. The first episode of pre-E3 Party Chat will not come out until Friday the 8th, which is right before the conferences start.
So if you're listening to this right now, you've got a little bit of time to get ready, to get all set up, to figure out how to go to the YouTube channel and how to watch this thing and before it airs.
And we'll launch it on Beacon House too. Like send that link out all over the place soon.
That's right.
As soon as it comes out. Right?
That's
Absolutely.
right.
We'll make sure you find out where it is. Like I said, pre-E3 is going to be on June 8th, where we talk about everything we want to see at E3. A lot of stuff's been leaked since we've already recorded that, so I can't wait to see what they talk about at E3.
Do you guys have any big anticipations, things coming up?
Honestly, I didn't think they were going to release a new Assassin's Creed, but sure enough, there's a new one that's going to be set, looks like in Rome or Greece, that's called Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And it's going to be very much like
a
the
side?
time of Homer's Odyssey kind of video game.
So how far up are they? I know that they got up to like the Renaissance, didn't they?
They've got like 12 of them
They've
or
gone
something.
back now. They actually took a year off and went back to ancient Egypt, and then they're kind of moving forward from there.
Oh, no, so they didn't come all the way into the present day.
Not yet. No.
I was super into
they
like the
haven't.
first Assassin's Creed, and then again I lost time to play video games.
You want someone to talk to you about Assassin's Creed? Jason.
Oh
is
man, give me
fan.
just like a couple minutes of like like your favorite one, what you think about where it's going, everything.
Oh, first of all, I love where it's going. They took a year off a few years back to work on the one that Casey mentioned. It's called Assassin's Creed Origins, based in ancient Egypt. That's by far the best one of the series so far. I think taking that year off did a whole lot of good for the entire series. It's one of my favorite ones, if not my favorite one right now. I'd say the other one of my favorites is Syndicate, which is based in London. I think right after the American Renaissance, somewhere around there. It's really, really good. So if you haven't been up to date on your Assassin's Creed games, I'd start with one of those two, either Origins or Syndicate. But to go back to one of your other question about basically E3 predictions, we talk a lot about this in the first episode of Party Chat that you're going to hear. But me personally, I am looking forward to, I'm crossing my fingers for a new Splinter Cell game. That game is my guilty pleasure.
Awesome.
So I'm loving, I love all the other old ones, and I'm hoping that they come out with a new one soon.
Awesome.
And they actually hinted at that if you ever play Ghost Recon Wildlands, there is a special mission for a whole month where you could play with Sam Fisher's character in some sort of stealth mission. And at the end of that, they kind of led to that they're going to be announcing something this year for a new game. So that was a lot of fun and a lot of speculation coming from that one.
Awesome. Right on. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here today, man. There's so much. Obviously, we could go on and on and on, and we definitely need to do like a million more of these where we just start and we pick up and we go. I could do a whole episode just listening to you guys talk about Assassin's Creed.
Oh yeah,
like that's wonderful because I missed out on so much of it. But man, I want to say, Jason, it's a pleasure to meet you. Unofficially over 400 miles and whatever, this bizarre connection. And thank you for being on the podcast. And I'm so excited. I hope to meet you in person one day. And man, I just can't thank you enough for being here. And guys,
hey man, yeah, welcome to the family.
Yeah,
it's my pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I do try to frequently visit Knoxville as much as possible. So hopefully I can sit in and do a live episode
Absolutely.
in person one day. But yeah, like I said, thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here. Happy to start this new adventure here with Casey in the Party Chat podcast. And I hope you guys enjoy it.
oh man, I'm super excited about it, and we're going to push it to everybody. I'm counting on everybody. I'm counting on all of our listeners to go check it out. Don't you guys snooze on this. I will find you. This is part of the Beacon House Productions.
And I do want to point out that I understand that not everybody's forte or cup of tea is video games and video game related podcasts. However, if you want to just give it a whirl, throw it on in the background, I promise you it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, I think we don't always talk about video games as well. I think outside of the 2 E3 episodes that you'll hear first, one of the very first episodes that we shot was all about superheroes. So
Yep.
it's not always just going to be about video games. We'll throw in some other things in there as well.
Yeah, or even I would be entertained, even if you guys were just going through kind of a boring level and you were just talking about what a douchebag Casey is.
Jason actually has gotten really good at that, so that's
I can imagine.
a possibility.
No.
Yeah,
I was.
that'll be a supplemental episode. I'll have to produce that one without Casey's knowledge and then just drop it at random.
I'm just gonna have to get ripped and just take it.
Yeah. That's an obvious ascension to the whole episode. Well, guys, listen, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, we're so happy to have Jason on as our guest today. Man, it was great. We're looking forward to the podcast.
Keep your ear to the ground for June 8th, Party Chat. Hit that bell, like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. We need all the feedback we can get. We want all the interaction with you guys. So please hit that bell to get notifications when we drop some new stuff.
All right, guys. And on that note, I'm Spence.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Casey, and I'll be your cuddly bear.
I'm turning the computer off.
I'll be your
Kissy face-
huckleberry.
Kissy face emoji.
Kissy face emoji.